Hello, my name is Brandon Pilling, and I'm a junior here at BYU Idaho. When we started this Main Street project, I got very excited because Twin Falls, Idaho underwent a similar project, and we renovated our Main Street recently as well. And as I spent time downtown in Rexburg, I noticed that many of the same changes we made in Twin Falls are applicable here. Now, I ride my bike everywhere. I've told many of you that I've been with in class, many of you that know me know that, and I ride everywhere, and I've ridden downtown several times and noticed many of these things for myself. So I'm excited to share some of my main concerns I have today with the Main Street and how we could change them and make them better. So here are some of the main problems that I've noticed when I've been downtown. One of the biggest ones is that downtown Rexburg is definitely built for cars and not people. There's a very poor usage of space, especially with parking. A lot of the buildings are old and the sidewalks need repair. The crosswalks are not easily accessible either to cross Main Street, and there's no style or theme in the buildings, and the inconsistency ultimately leads to a feeling that is uninviting and discourages people from visiting downtown other than to just get out of their car and enter a store. Like I said before, I think space usage is one of the biggest issues on Main Street. Every single business and store has their own private parking lot, and this ultimately leads to a lot of wasted space. If we were able to consolidate the parking space into 2 or 3 communal parking areas, this would limit this waste dramatically and also open up new space for other businesses to come in and enter. It would cut back on the sprawling trend that we've noticed on the outskirts of town with businesses such as Walmart and Albertsons, and it would encourage growth within our own boundaries. This parking lot technique is not new. Some of you that have visited Jackson Hole have noticed when you go downtown in downtown Jackson, they have 1 or 2 large parking lots for everyone. And then you can park there and then walk into town. And it cuts down on a lot of the car space and the parking issues that we have. Like I also mentioned, there's not a consistent theme on the downtown buildings. You have old traditional brick buildings paired directly with new and modern buildings. And ultimately this leads to a rundown and frankly trashy appearance. I'm not suggesting that all the buildings are renovated to look the same, but a consistent color scheme and theme would help it to be more aesthetically pleasing at least. As a pedestrian, as someone who rides their bike every day, whenever I get in my car and drive, I'm constantly thinking about pedestrians. And if we are going to redesign Main Street to follow principles of new urbanism, then a walkable community or a transit oriented one is what we got to think about. Have pedestrians in mind. A lot of the sidewalks are damaged. They are difficult to maintain. I realize this because of the weather that we have in Rexburg. But as someone who's riding their bike or walking on these streets, I've tripped almost several times, and it's difficult to ride up and down the inconsistent pavements and the bricks and the paving stones. If we were able to spend some of our budget in repairing and renovating the sidewalks and widening them on the sides of the shop fronts, it would help it to be a lot more accessible to people. Trees could be planted even in the middle of the sidewalks to provide shade in the summertime and protection from snow in the winter. Now, imagine that you are me and you are riding your bicycle. So this is what you're seeing now is from your perspective on the bicycle. One of my biggest pet peeves with the downtown is that it is totally designed for cars. In front of me is a restaurant, Mexican restaurant, and on the right is a drive-through and parking lot. This is a blind corner, and this is access for entrance and an exit. So when I'm riding my bike, I'm constantly looking over my shoulder that people are going to come from cross traffic to cross in front of me that don't see me. And I'm also constantly looking on the right for people coming out. And this is almost with every shop front that I'm riding my bike in. I've almost been hit several times in this year alone. So by renovating the sidewalk, widening it with pedestrians in mind, it makes it safer for families and cyclists that are riding in this area. And we may think, oh, well, who's riding their bike at this time of year? Well, I mean, I do, and I notice other kids do as well. This is a college town, and a lot of kids try and save money by using bicycles. So this is not an unrealistic request. The sidewalks and crosswalks, many of them that cross Main Street from north to south, don't have any lights. So they require you to just look for an opening and walk and hope that people notice you. The ones that go from west to east on the side streets have light that you can press a walking button and wait, but these ones don't. So it's really dangerous to walk across. To kind of reiterate some of my main ideas that I wanted to talk about, a consolidating of the parking into a single space would greatly reduce on waste and allow for growth in the downtown area. Having a consistent style would also help to make it look more aesthetically pleasing, and a redesigning of crosswalks and sidewalks with pedestrians in mind will go a long way to encouraging people to visit the downtown. This is just an afterthought as well, but there's a lot of government buildings that are also in the downtown area. If we were able to separate those from the businesses, it might also help with a more inviting feeling for kids and families. It doesn't help when you're taking your kid to go shopping for toys and you have to walk past the juvenile detention center on the way. Now, I realize that this is a hard thing to do, but as someone who's lived in Rexburg for quite a few time, I am really hope that some of these ideas can be implemented to ultimately provide a college experience that's more welcoming to residents who have been locals for 20 years and for kids who are just here for a season.